Okay. Yasher Koach, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for being here. We're going to daven Marav at 8:33. 8:33. We have copies of the Gemara here if anyone would like. And in the Gemara, we also have a map of the. Would you like it? It was a map of the Beis Hamikdash. So if anyone would like, we've got copies of the Gemara. If you didn't get, we've got plenty more up here, as well as a map of the Beis Hamikdash that we're going to be using for this. So this is exciting. We're going to learn Maseches Tamid together. This was an idea that some members of our shul had in terms of having it that we can make a siyum together. The morning of the dedication of the new shul building, God willing, it's going to be in about a month and a half. And we thought this would be a wonderful way to increase the simcha that Shabbos if we made a siyum together on something that was a communal effort in learning together. So I'm recording this for those who are this way. We who are here today could learn, as well as those who aren't able to be here. They'll be able either to catch it on Zoom now or to I'll send out an email in the morning, and it'll have the link for the 15 minutes that we're going to learn each night. The idea was that we'll learn Tamid together for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a very short Masechta. We know we'll be able to finish it on time. But also, Tamid deals with the order of the day, what happened in the Beis Hamikdash day in and day out. And it was it was consistency in the avoda. And we're hoping, God willing, that'll our Mikdash Ma'at, our minor Mikdash that we're building together and that we're going to be davening in together will be a pace of Torah and Tefillah on a consistent basis as well. So I think this will be a wonderful idea to learn this together. I want to thank David for getting the ball rolling on this. We also want to thank there was an anonymous sponsor who sponsored the Gemaras and the purchase of the Gemaras, and we also want to thank Bracha Yudelson for facilitating the purchase of these Gemaras for us through ArtScroll. So everyone's got in front of them a paperback edition. Just to explain what's going on here, there are two Masechtas in this paperback. There's both Tamid and Midos. These are two small Masechtas that are towards the back of Kachim, Seder Kachim. And you'll find in this, the way this Gemara works is that this travel size Gemara has just the Hebrew or Aramaic in the front. And then I'd say a third into it, you'll see is Maseches Tamid in the classic ArtScroll that you'll have in the back. You'll see that it starts on Daf Chaf Hey Amud Beis 25b. That's because this is it's such a small Masechta. It's grouped together with some others, so the pagination of it follows the Masechta which came before this. One other note: we're used to seeing on a regular Tzura Sadaf, on a regular page of Gemara, that Rashi would be on the inside and Tosas on the outside. With Maseches Tamid, we don't have that. There's an anonymous Rishon that is the parish is just referred to as the Mefarish that you'll find that's here, and that's what you'll see that's on the page here. Again, it's not 100% certain who authored it. It's always referred to as the Mefarish. It's definitely from the time of the Rishonim. So let's jump in. We'll start together. Maseches Tamid, some of you may recognize because several months ago, when every night we learned Mishnayos. For the last number of weeks, we've been in Maseches Kalim, but before Maseches Kalim, we were still in Seder Kachim. And several months ago, I'd have to look at my calendar or my notes to see exactly when, we actually did the Mishnayos on Tamid. So all those who participated in that, you'll recognize the Mishnayos in here, but we're also going to see the Gemaras that expound on them. So let's start. So again, if you're following in the Hebrew section at the beginning, it would be Chaf Hey Amud Beis. If you're using the classic ArtScroll elucidated text in the back, it'll be 25b1. So let's see. Then we're going to start with a map of the Beis Hamikdash. Everyone I put in the Gemaras. Here's a classic map of the Beis Hamikdash. Again, you see how it says Tzafon Mizrach, Marav and Durham. So again, Tzafon is north. So if you wanted to see, looking at this from a bird's eye view, you could either look at it like that, that's fine, or if you want to have it facing east, you would turn it sideways. So you're looking at a bird's eye view of the Beis Hamikdash, drawn as much to scale as possible. A lot of this is going to come up in Maseches Tamid because it's going to go through what the day looked like as the day got started in the Beis Hamikdash. So let's start. The Mishnah says, B'shlosha Mekomos, there were three places, HaKohanim, Shomrim B'Beis Hamikdash. There were three places that the Kohanim would stand guard in the Beis Hamikdash, meaning throughout the night. It would be almost like an honor guard It wasn't, the Mefarshim explained, it wasn't that they were nervous about people breaking in and stealing items. Rather, it was a way to show great respect, dignity for the place, that there was this honor guard, the centuries, you could say, that were standing there to show a great kavod, a great mora for the Beis Hamikdash. So we're going to see in the Gemara that there were multiple places where Levium stood guard, but the Mishnah is going to start just by telling us about the places where Kohanim stood guard. So what were those two places? Shlosh Makom is a Kohanim Shomrim Beis Hamikdash throughout the night. Number one was Beves Avtinos, the chamber of Avtinos. So if you look on this map that we have here, you'll see the Avtinos is number 22. So it'll be on the left of the Darom. It'll be on the southern side there in the wall. That's where there's the Lishkas Beis Avtinos. That was the chamber of the Avtinos families. That's where they mixed the Ketores. They kept it a very closely guarded secret. So that was in an area over there. There would be a Kohen station throughout the night, standing part in the honor guard. And then there was the Beis Hanitzos, the chamber of the Ray. So again, if you're using the map here, that would be number 44. That would be on the right Tzafon, on the north, towards the Marav, toward northwest area there. That was a Shara Nitzos. That was the gate of the Ray. So right near there was a chamber of the Ray. That was basically at a spot where we're going to see was an elevated platform where they'd be able to tell when daybreak was taking place. That's why they refer to it as the place of the Ray. And then it says the third place where they had Kohanim standing throughout the night as an honor guard was the Beis HaMoked, the Hall of the Fire. Where was the Hall of the Fire? So again, that would be on here. That would be number 20. If you look at number 20, that's Safon on the northern wall. There's a big room, and that room is going to get discussed. A lot went on in that room. That also was a room where the sleeping quarters were for the Kohanim who were going to be there throughout the night. Now, why was it called the Beis HaMoked? Moked literally means fire, a bonfire. They had a fire going in that room to provide heat. Remember, the Beis HaMikdash, Gesundheit, everything was stone, and the Kohanim weren't wearing shoes, and there was a good chunk of the year where they could be quite cold. So it was very important that there always was this fire burning in the Beis HaMoked. This was a place where the Kohanim would, first of all, we're going to see, they would bunk at night. That this is where the Kohanim were staying on station, on duty. This is where they would stay. But also during the day, if they were chilled, this is where they would go to warm up as well. So these were the three places that throughout the night, there would be a honor guard of Kohanim. They would be on duty there. Now the Mishnah continues and it says, we're going to talk about two of these items, two of these places. Beves Avtinos, Beves Hanitzos, those two places, the Beis Avtinos, the place where we said where the chamber where the Ketores was mixed, where the incense was mixed, and also the Beis Hanitzos, the place of the Ray, with the chamber of the Ray, he says, Hayu Alios. In those places, there were upper stories. I mean, there was like a second floor, and it seems like this honor guard was stationed on the upper story, not directly on the ground, but on the upper story. Some of the Mefarshim explain that either this was to make it more of like an honorific of a century, like they were up there and you could see them and they were standing guard, then it would be very visible. And others say it was more of a practical matter, is that no one was allowed to sit down and rest in the Beis HaMikdash proper. But if they were on this elevated platform, so to say, that might give these people a chance to sit down and rest. Whereas if they were on the same level in the Beis HaMikdash, on the floor of the Beis HaMikdash, they wouldn't have been allowed to do so. So let's see. The Mishnah continues and it says, Harovim Shomrim Sham. And who would they position in those two places? The Rovim. The Mefarshim explained Rovim were the young ones. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So they mean so they wouldn't have, so they could sit down. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Oh, good. Good. So we're going to see. We're going to get, that room's going to get discussed. Excellent question. Excellent point. Some actually say that room, there was a line going down the middle, and the part where the Kohanim slept was on the line, so to say. You see that's in the middle of the wall. There, like, wasn't in the Beis HaMikdash proper. You see where that wall? Yeah, that's what some of them were going to say. But it's an excellent point, Alicia. So let's see. So the Mishnah continues. It says, Harovim Shomrim Sham. They would use the younger Kohanim to stand guard in these places overnight. Some of the Mefarshim explain because it would be pretty exhausting to have been up all night on this honor guard. So it wasn't kedai, it wasn't worthwhile to take Kohanim who needed to be at work the next day doing the avoda in the Beis Hamikdash. So if we took the younger Kohanim, the Pirchei Kuna, those Kohanim in training, who wouldn't really be assigned to avoda because they were too young to perform the task. So this way, they're still doing a job of a Kohen. They're the night guard. They're the night shift that's performing the honor guard. And it says Beis Hamoked Kippah. Above the Beis Hamoked, that's box number 20, what Elisha was pointing to. There was a kippah. There was like a domed top. It wasn't a flat surface. It was a domed top up on the roof. That was something unique about that structure. Let's see. We're going to just talk a little bit about the sleeping arrangements of the Kohanim in the Beis Hamoked before we conclude for this evening. So the Mishnah continues and it says, Bayis Gadolaya. The Beis Hamoked was actually a very large structure. And as you see, this map that I found online, I believe this, just to give credit where credit is due, years ago, I wrote an article about the Duchen. We always associate the Duchen with Nesias Kapayim, with the bracha of the Kohanim. But I was wondering a number of years ago, where did that term come from? The Duchen in the Beis Hamikdash, that's not what it was associated. The Duchen was used by the Leviim. That's where the orchestra, the band was set up and they sang from. How did the Duchen become so associated with Nesias Kapayim? And in the course of this article, I chanced upon this website, and this was something that Rabbi Steinzal, Zechar Bracha, his organization in Israel had produced this map. And I had asked them, and it was in their Gemaras, and I had asked them, this is such a great, clear map, and it was available online. Could I use it for my article and for other opportunities? And they told me yes. So just to give credit where that's due, that's where I got this this map from. They let me to use that there. So just to discuss number 20 there, where that Beis Hamoked. So the Mishnah says, Bais Gadol Haya, it was a very large structure, Mukaf Ravadim Shel Even. The interior of it had like circles, ledges of, you can imagine, I mean, I hate to say it this way, if you've seen pictures of maximum security prisons sometimes, they have like a slab of concrete coming out of the wall. That's what the bed, the mattress is on. So it says the way many understand this Mishnah, that's what it's saying. There was like these slabs of concrete or stone that were coming out of the wall there, and that's what the Kohanim would bunk on. In other words, there wasn't beds per se, but there was these slabs of stone that came out at different points of the wall, elevated. Some it could be different layers, levels of them, and that's what the Kohanim would bunk on. Ziknei Beis Av Yishenim Sham. The elder Kohanim, they were given the privilege of sleeping on those off of the ground. And they had the keys for the courtyard, all the gates. They were the keepers of those gates. Pirchei Kuna, the younger Kohanim, who were not on duty, being the night watch, but were going to sleep that night. Pirchei Kuna ish kiso baretz. They were sleeping with cushions on the ground. They didn't get to sleep on those ledges. Lo yeshenim b'bigdei kodesh. They didn't sleep in their bigdei kahuna. That's not what they slept in. That wouldn't have been appropriate. Eloi Poshtin and the Kaplan, they would take off their bigdei kahuna. They would carefully fold it up. They would put it under their heads, meaning under their pillows. That's what they would do with their bigdei kahuna at night. And they would cover themselves, meaning what they would wear as pajamas, you might say, were their own bigdei chol, the regular garments. That's what, in other words, it wouldn't have been appropriate to be sleeping in their bigdei kahuna, in their special kohanim garments. They would sleep in their regular stuff. Yes, Rabbi Gil. That's a good question. I don't know. I didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't see that. Is that actually to sleep on it, or to put it underneath your stuff? I don't know. Directly touching it in order to use your clothing directly. So maybe here it was underneath. I don't know. Yeah, excellent. Good question. All right, we'll pause here. God willing, we'll continue tomorrow night. All right, Yasher Koach, everyone. Rabbi Chanani ben Akasha ve'Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu Zakas Es Yisrael L'Fikach Hirbalem Torah Mitzvah Shenamar Adonai